Hey Alba amigos, are you looking to build a super strong core so that floating into headstands and doing a two-legged plank becomes a piece of cake? Here's a tip that may surprise you. Stop engaging your core. Yep, you heard me right. My name is Hannah, I'm a yoga teacher and a yoga teacher trainer, and I am going to share with you the 3 mistakes I see in my students all the time. And I tell you something, if you avoid making these mistakes, you will start to see rapid gains in your core strength and general health and well-being. Tip number 1, constant engagement. This is something I see all the time, but I think of it like this. You want to build strong biceps. You go to the gym, you grab a dumbbell and you lift it. You then hold it lifted for the rest of the day. No, you wouldn't do that. And why? Because that is going to just create a very short and very tired muscle. You would do some bicep curls, focusing on both the curl in, the concentric contraction, and the lower back down with control, the eccentric contraction. You also wouldn't think, engage my bicep. It just happens. Think of the core in the same way. You want it to work reflexively. And what that means is that it turns on and off when we need it. One of the things to note here, going back to the bicep example, imagine you want them to be strong. So you go into the gym and you pick up a 20-kilogram dumbbell. It's at this point you may desperately think, engage bicep now. But your bicep can't cope because it's never lifted a weight anywhere near that before. The core is the same. If you try to do something too intense that it isn't ready for, then it may not be able to cope. You may be desperately thinking, engage my core. But in fact, you'd get better gains from taking the movement down a notch in intensity-wise and building your strength over time consciously. So moving on to tip number 2, paradoxical breathing. Did you know that the diaphragm is part of our deep core? Yep, that main breathing muscle. Now it works with the pelvic floor, and when we inhale, the diaphragm contracts and moves down and the pelvic floor relaxes and lengthens. Then when we exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and moves back up and the pelvic floor naturally contracts and lifts. Now when we inhale, because the diaphragm is contracting and moving down, this means our stomach naturally expands. But what I see as a teacher often is something called paradoxical breathing. And what that means is that the pattern is reversed. So instead of the whole body getting bigger on the inhale, just the chest goes up and the belly stays static. And on the exhale, the chest deflates as the belly is static. And this can disrupt the way the core is meant to function. If you were sitting there thinking, I do this, please don't worry. But a really good starting point is learning how to do diaphragmatic breathing to get good function of the diaphragm and the core. If you check out this video here, I explain how you can do this. Now, the last point I want to touch on is the bandhas and how they are taught in some yoga classes. The bandhas, very simplistically, are energetic locks or seals practiced in yoga and pranayama, breath control, that involve contracting specific muscles or regions of the body to channel and control the flow of energy, prana, within the body. 2 bandhas you may have heard in your yoga classes are Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha. And again, very simply, this is a lock where you draw the lower belly up and in, and for Mula Bandha, you lift the pelvic floor. Some teachers believe that these locks should be active throughout the whole of a yoga class. But what this means is we are not only fatiguing the muscles, but again, mucking around with the breathing and core mechanics. The core and natural pressure systems within our body just can't function as they should if we are constantly engaging the core and pelvic floor muscles. And if we train like this in our yoga practice, what we see happen is that yogis end up engaging their core off the yoga mat throughout their day. We don't need to and shouldn't do this. So take a moment more with me now and notice your breath. Perhaps even close your eyes. Notice how your body moves with your breath. Notice if or where you're holding tension, and see if you can gently release that tension. Now, if you found this video helpful, then check out this video where we share how to properly use your entire core and live better as a result. And also click the link in the description box to this video to get a free 10-page PDF with references on studies linked to what I'm talking about today.